Since childhood, I harbored a deep resentment toward my stunning younger sister. She always seemed to covet everything that was mine. I was constantly told, "You're the older sister, you should be patient." And despite following that advice, she ended up taking my husband away from me. To make matters worse, I was pregnant at the time. Now, after all she's done, she has the audacity to demand a grand celebration for herself. It's shocking and brazen. But I'm no longer alone. As a single mother, life has been incredibly challenging, but I've found my own strength and support. "Shall I lend you my husband?" she taunts, but honestly, I'm doing just fine on my own. My name is Taylor. At 29, I work as a librarian, with my jet black hair pulled back, a face rarely touched by makeup, and thick sense glasses perched on my nose. My freckles are my unique charm, though they're often overshadowed by my understated look. I'm simply an ordinary yet remarkable woman. In stark contrast, my younger sister Yasmin, just a year younger than me, is slender with fair skin, her beautifully curled hair always styled to perfection. With her expertly applied makeup and dazzling smile, she greets everyone with a charismatic American flair. It's hard to believe she comes from the same parents as me, given how strikingly beautiful and charming she is. Our parents showered her with adoration, the beauty who was loved by everyone. The disparity in the affection we received was glaring, and I found myself always in the background, yearning for their attention. Determined to make a difference despite my appearance, I threw myself into everything with relentless dedication. I poured my heart into my studies, convinced that while I couldn't change how I looked, I could transform my future through hard work. As a shy student with few friends, I spent my free time studying at home. And on weekends, while my classmates enjoyed their time outside, I was confined to my room, absorbed in my books. My relentless focus on academics paid off, and I earned a place at a prestigious, nationally renowned school. I hoped that Yasmin's disinterest in academics would finally give me a break from our constant competition. But to my utter disbelief, the following year, she was accepted into the same prestigious school. "You got into the same school as Taylor. You must have worked so hard. Not only are you beautiful, but you're smart too." Taylor barely made it in, especially with all the money spent on the tours. "Dad, don't say that. I just happened to study what was on the exam, that's all," my sister boasted with a smile directed at me. I was frozen, overwhelmed with a mix of joy and frustration. The thought of attending school with my sister again should have been exciting. But instead, I felt a deep sense of frustration and inadequacy. Wishing I could vanish, I fled to my room and slammed the door behind me, overhearing my parents' exasperated comments. On the day of my sister's acceptance announcement, I was bedridden with a fever, feeling utterly defeated. It was a crushing blow. After working so hard to earn my place at this school, I had hoped to finally escape the endless comparisons with my sister. It felt as though fate was unjust. Yasmin seemed to excel at everything effortlessly, always topping the grades and showcasing talents I couldn't match. I know that being negative and envious isn't productive, but it's difficult to stay positive in situations like this. No one seemed to understand what I'm going through, so I find myself burying my head in my pillow, silently crying out of frustration. I can't help but feel a deep-seated resentment toward Yasmin. Since my beautiful and charming younger sister started high school, she quickly became the center of attention, with even rumors swirling about her potential modeling career. My own high school life, once filled with its own moments, took a turn for the worse as I faced teasing from the boys in my class. "Yasmin, isn't your little sister the one in the first year? You two don't look anything alike." "Give me a break. I'm always being compared to my sister," I'd retort, though those days felt like an endless struggle. I began to withdraw from others, feeling like I was living through a personal hell. As a naturally shy person, I isolated myself further, speaking only minimally in class and losing myself in my beloved books. Even when there were opportunities to connect with boys I had feelings for, I never had the courage to approach them. Meanwhile, my striking sister seemed to have an uncanny knack for navigating those social situations with ease, almost like a hawk spotting its prey. "Big sis, you're interested in that boy from the news club, aren't you?" I was taken aback by her keen observation. I turned to her, meeting her sweet smile with a mix of annoyance and resignation. Her response was predictable. "You might want to reconsider. I dated him for a while." But it was so dull. I broke up with him quickly. My sister had a habit of belittling anyone I had even a hint of interest in. always swooping in to date and then discard them. Her string of boyfriends seemed endless, yet no bad rumors ever followed her, likely because her charm and looks kept men enchanted despite her fickleness. If only I had her appearance, I could live more genuinely without causing hurt. Life felt so unfair. After graduating from high school, I finally enjoyed a period of peace, despite my sister following me to the same university. Fortunately, the campus was so large that our paths rarely crossed. Grateful for the chance to live independently, I took up our parents' offer and chose to attend a prestigious university. This was my opportunity to step out of my sister's shadow and embrace a new chapter in my life. At university, I began dating a boy from my club, who would later become my first husband, Harry. I earned my librarian's qualification and started working at a library after graduation, while Harry secured a job at his dream company. Our professional lives were thriving, and after some time of marriage, I became pregnant with a girl. Life was calm and fulfilling, and I believed it would continue smoothly. However, my sister's return began to disrupt our peaceful life. After facing difficulties at her job in Chicago, she resigned and came back home, unsettling the routine we had built. "Big sis, I'm back again," Yasmin would announce as she frequently dropped by our house for dinner. I wondered why she couldn't just eat at home, but she insisted on having homemade food. It turned out that our mother, who usually does the cooking, had hurt her back and was now relying on ready meals and takeout. Whenever Yasmin visits, the dinner table seems to light up. Harry, who normally avoids cooking and complains even when I suffer from morning sickness, becomes surprisingly enthusiastic in the kitchen whenever Yasmin is around. When I buy ready meals, Harry's cooking seems to taste even better. Yasmin, with her usual charm, would often comment, "I wish I could marry someone like him," while sweetly touching him, who seemed to be captivated by her attention. Her seductive nature was as evident as ever, and I couldn't believe she would be so bold as to flirt with someone else's husband. As my pregnancy progressed and my belly grew, my naive hope that Harry would remain supportive was quickly dashed. Instead, he began to distance himself from home. One day, after returning from a business trip, he delivered shocking news. Yasmin was by his side. "I'm sorry, but I want a divorce. I want to build a new future with Yasmin," Harry said. "What? You're saying this when we're about to have a baby?" I was stunned, and our views naturally clashed. Despite my protests, he insisted he had found true love and was moved by my words. Turning to my sister in disbelief, I asked, "Why him? Harry isn't particularly handsome, nor does he have an extraordinary income." "Well, married men seem stable," Yasmin replied nonchalantly. "I became interested in your husband, and before I knew it, we were drawn to each other, attracted to each other. Do you realize you're taking the father away from me and our baby?" I could no longer ignore my sister's betrayal. This was beyond forgiveness. "It's my fault, not Yasmin's," Harry said defensively, standing by my sister, who showed no remorse. My anger quickly turned to resignation. In a state of despair, I packed a few belongings and left to inform my parents. They were appalled by the situation. Despite their past favoritism toward my sister, they insisted I stay with them until I could return to work after the birth. The divorce from Harry was finalized without complications, and the following month, I welcomed my daughter into the world. 3 years had passed, and I was fortunate to remarry. Since divorcing Harry, my 3-year-old daughter, Amy, has bonded well with my new husband, and we've built a happy life together. Then, out of the blue, I received a call from my sister. "Hello, big sis. How are you? I actually have a baby now. I decided it would be easier to raise a child close to our parents, so I've moved back. Let's catch up soon." For 3 years, there had been no contact from her, neither with me nor with our parents. Now, she was reaching out as if nothing had happened, chatting cheerfully and offering no apologies. I was at a loss for words, surprised by her sudden and casual reappearance. "Of course, prepare lots of gifts. Oh, and ask Mom and Dad to forgive me. It's been 3 years. They can't still be angry," she said abruptly before ending the call. To make matters worse, I later received a text from her that read, "I'll lend you my husband if you need." Since I've been estranged from my sister, I haven't mentioned my remarriage to her. She seems to think I'm still a single mother. As I sighed in frustration, my husband, Ted, came home after finishing work. He's aware of how my sister had taken my previous husband from me. When I told him that my sister was coming to the neighborhood, claiming it was to celebrate her baby's birth, he laughed in surprise. "Your sister really has some nerve. If it were me, I'd be too guilty to show my face, Ted said with a hint of sarcasm, gently holding me from behind. She's always been like that, beautiful and getting away with everything. I've resented her many times, and the jealousy has never truly faded. It feels like the world really does favor those who are beautiful. Sensing my frustration, Ted offered a reassuring smile. Beauty is subjective, right? You once said an actor was handsome, but not everyone agrees. Your sister might be considered beautiful, but she's not my type. However, people who get to know her often find themselves charmed by her. I see. Then shall we go and greet her together? Ted suggested. What? I exclaimed in surprise, and Ted laughed heartily. There's nothing for you to worry about. The idea that I could be swayed by your sister is unthinkable. I'd even bet on it. Besides, if we talk things through and establish clear boundaries, it might actually work in your favor, he said, and his words struck a chord with me. He was right. I was tired of living in fear of my sister. Determined to clear my heart and confront the situation head-on, I resolved to meet her in person. On the appointed day, I arrived at the flat where my sister and her family lived. Ted was going to be a bit late due to work commitments. Welcome, big sis, Yasmin greeted me with a bright smile. My ex-husband Harry was also there, looking somewhat awkward. In the room, a tiny baby slept softly in a crib. Isn't he adorable? This child is proof of the love between Harry and me, she said nonchalantly, as if taking my daughter's father from me was of no consequence. Yasmin continued to boast about her happiness and how exceptional her child was. As usual, interacting with her was exhausting. Just being in the same space made me feel tense. By the way, big sis, where's your gift? Oh, did you forget to bring one? I suppose that's to be expected from a single mother with limited income, Yasmin sneered. Just then, I received a message from Ted. Actually, I'm not a single mother anymore. I was fortunate to remarry. My husband wanted to meet you and has arrived. He's even brought a gift. Should I invite him in? Really? I'm curious to meet your new husband, Yasmin said with genuine interest. She opened the front door, only to freeze when she saw Ted standing there. Taylor, sorry to keep you waiting. I got delayed picking up a gift and also had to fetch Amy from kindergarten, Ted said with a cheerful smile. Yasmin's face turned crimson as she softly muttered, Ted, is that you? Yes, that's right, I said. My current husband, Ted, was a classmate from high school. He was academically brilliant, handsome, and quite wealthy, coming from a prominent landowning family. Ted had always stood out in our class. We reconnected at a high school reunion, and after my separation from my previous husband, he pursued me with determination. My sister, who was also in high school at the time, had once tried to make a move on him, but it didn't work out. I can't believe Ted is now my brother-in-law. There's so much I want to catch up on. Can I have your number? Yasmin asked, her voice dripping with overly sweet charm. She acted without restraint next to Ted, despite her own husband, Harry, being present. Ted let out a deep sigh of annoyance. You haven't changed at all. Even if you look good on the outside, I can't stand a bothersome and frivolous woman like you. You're worlds apart from Taylor, Ted said sharply, directing a look of disgust at my sister as he handed over the present. The baby gift he chose was from a popular brand. It was striking how he, of all people, could treat my sister, who was often adored by everyone, with such coldness. I felt he might be the only one who truly values me over her. We're here today not just to offer our congratulations, but also to request that you stay away from my wife in the future. It seems Taylor has been quite stressed because of you, Ted said clearly. I felt a weight lift from my heart. Meanwhile, Harry tried to interact with his daughter Amy after a long time, but Amy rejected him and clung tightly to Ted. Taylor and Amy are my precious family, so please refrain from causing any more trouble, Ted said firmly. And just as a side note, Yasmin's behavior is rather inappropriate. It would be good to observe social etiquette. He then took my hand and our daughters, signaling it was time to leave. Wait just a minute, Taylor, Amy, Harry pleaded desperately. Yasmin, confronted with our indifferent response, turned pale. Ignoring them, we left my sister's flat. I later heard from my parents that Yasmin had decided to divorce Harry. It seems her remarriage to someone like Ted had really unsettled her. She compared Harry to Ted in terms of appearance, personality, and income, which led to a major argument. Yasmin returned home and made a flippant apology, but she still attempted to meet with Ted. It's clear she's clinging to some hope. but it's futile, as Ted has made it clear he dislikes women like her. On my husband's advice, I've completely severed all contact with my sister. After changing jobs, she had an affair with a married supervisor, which was discovered by his wife. Now my sister is being sued by the supervisor's wife. Despite her ongoing allure, it's clear that some parts of her remain unchanged. I can laugh off the stories about her because I'm deeply content with my own family. My husband and daughter bring me immense joy. Currently, I'm pregnant with our second child. My husband and daughter are eagerly anticipating the arrival of our new family member. My husband finds solace in gently rubbing my belly and often expresses how at peace he feels. We're all excited for our future as a family of 4. While physical beauty can influence one's path in life, relying solely on looks is undeniably challenging. I'm focused on personal growth and moving forward without comparing myself to others.